it is only in Africa where people consider competition as a matter of life and death. In Europe, people congratulate the winner, and they go about doing their business in parliament. You have seen it even in Britain. Uhuru is the only person who conceded defeat to the Mwai Kibaki in 2003, and he assumed the status of the leader of the official opposition. Any and every other election has been either contested, has been violently challenged, etc., etc. Even football teams,
so it's
they shake
necessary
hands
for peace.
even after a match.
Fair enough.
And one has won and the other one has lost.
Right, and I'm not saying that that should not be the case. I'm simply asking, in this new handshake arrangement.
I heard Junet Mohammed yesterday, and he said, you oppose when things are going wrong. If things are being done in the right way, and if you are satisfied, what is there to oppose?
Okay.
Or do you oppose for the sake of opposing?
Fair enough.
If anything, it is part of the Jubilee fraternity, which is now behaving like the opposition.
Maybe that PG is necessary. Let us conclude. What do you see as President Kenyatta's role in 2022?
He will guide. He will guide those who believe in him. I doubt that he will openly stand up and say, I support so-and-so, all right? But he said it, I think it was some place in Nyeri.
He said his choice would shock us.
He said, and that is his choice, by the way, he has to convince us that he's bequeathing us with the right choice.
Is he, as the Court Secretary General Francis Atwoli has remarked, too young to go home?
Oh no, I think again you people misunderstand Atwoli. Uhuru is actually going to be bigger than this Kenyan politics. Uhuru is about East African integration. Uhuru is about African integration. Uhuru is by and large getting wide acceptability in terms of his vision for Africa and in terms of his vision for the region. I think he would definitely have a role in terms of trying to bring together this economic machine, like in the East and Central Africa, which has like 400 million people. It's a huge market. So in terms of its interconnectivity and power and...
So no role in any possible formation of another government with or without a constitutional change past 2022? You don't think so?
That will depend on Kenyans. For example,
so you think he may consider...
No. I want to be very clear about this. In a new political dispensation, where you're talking about inclusion, where people want to feel they are represented, when you have a formation which has the face of Kenya, and then remember there are other people who actually want business as usual. They want it the way it is, so that it is maybe to exclude other people. Winner take all, first by the post. You know how people are presumptuous. I think the community itself, the Mount Kenya community, has not nurtured leadership post-Uhuru.
You believe
by the time Kibaki was leaving
you believe
power,
he would still be the face of the Mount Kenya community in 2022?
Either actively or from behind the scenes. There will be caucuses and they will be consulting him, and his input will be invaluable.
And if they supported him to take on some kind of position or fronted him, as you have said, in a new lineup in 2022, in a different constitutional dispensation, if that were to be the case, that is something you think he would consider, he would take up?
No, he has already said he's not interested.
So people like the likes of, for instance, your good friend Peter Kenneth, or Martha Karua, or Anne Waiguru, or Mutahi Kagwe, or any of these other names, you think they still are coming of age to do before they could inherit the Mount Kenya?
They need to go out. They need to go out. They need to convince us. Maybe they are heeding the president's call not to engage in politics right now, but they actually need to be visible. They need to be active. I like Musalia, for example. He's out there and he's saying all the right things without even an official government position, and he's on record that even if he got an official government position, he would not take it. I like Kalonzo. He's out there doing his own thing, although I'm now told he's an envoy to South Sudan Peace Program.
You like Gideon Moi?
I like Raila. Raila is busy actually acting like a statesman. All right? You saw him this week with the African ministers for infrastructure. You saw him in Russia. You saw him. He's actually doing his job about the connectivity of the continent. He's also beyond this local chafu politics, right? Gideon happens to be the leader of the Independence Party. If you go to Nyeri today, you'll still find Amze with that Kanu thing.
What about if you go to Parliament?
You go to Migori,
how many Kanu members of Parliament will you find?
No, it's like what I said to you. When we formed Jubilee, we were hoping that you can do like two main political formations, all right? Kanu was part of the Jubilee coalition, all right? But they have this sentiment of holding on to Kanu, like they don't want to let it go. We had a similar challenge when Uhuru was moving from Kanu to form TNA, because it was his father's party, all right? But by and large, Kanu was part and parcel of the Jubilee formation. NASA, on the other hand, instead of bringing together Wiper, ANC, ODM, blah, 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 for Kenya, they decided to have small caucuses. I wish they had, you know, metamorphosed into one huge, large coalition as a party to take on Jubilee.
Finally, as we are making tradition on this program, you have the next 2 minutes to deliver your punchline on any issue of public interest. You can look straight to your camera. You could even put on the gloves if you want to.
Annie, I've actually been off air, and I like it like that. But there's so much depressing news in this country. In terms of every day you wake up, you are depressed by the headlines. The media needs to be able to now be looking at what is positive and what is uplifting Kenyans. Not just looking at what is really negative. And I liked what the Deputy President said the other day. If all this money has been stolen, and the rest of the money has gone into paying salaries, and there are all these development projects, where does that money come from? Surely there's some exaggeration. And there is something positive that is happening. And I can tell you, Anne, I've been talking to PSs, I've been talking to some CSs. These meetings, which they're having, the Matiang'i meetings and the Kivishu meetings, work is happening. They sit across a table, and they challenge each other. You, PS Energy, my electricity, my area, what? He says, no. It's the PS Treasury who has not released money. Instead of doing memos to one another, they are sitting around a table. And they are engaging and agreeing. Like last 2 weeks, I'm told they're aligning their budgets to the big four. All right? It has now cascaded down even to their state corporations. So there's something happening. Something is happening even as you have all this noise. And I'm glad that you can leave the politicians to continue making the noise and technocrats to do work. Because there's a hell lot of work which is actually going on, even in the din and the noise.
I want to thank you very much, David Murathe, for welcoming us to your house.
Thank you.
And for putting on the gloves tonight. That has been punchline. Thank you for watching. Another episode next Sunday at 9. Good night and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.